Hey guys, it's Benefits of a G from GE Tracker here, and today we're going to talk about the BGS versus the Dragon Warhammer, and its recent update with the Bandos God Sword having its spec buffed to a 50-50%, meaning you can spec it twice in a row. With the update, there was speculation that this would affect the Dragon Warhammer negatively because their effects were quote-unquote similar, or some players falsely believing that they were the exact same. So if we look at another post over here, this was before the update came around. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, this is, I saw this date. I got a little confused, but we can see that this post came in, no, I don't want to go to ruin metrics. Okay, so we can see that this post came out on October 10th, 2017. So not too long ago. And this guy is saying, I believe the Bandos God Sword buff would greatly devalue the Dragon Warhammer due to having the same effects. The BGS is very plentiful in the market, while the Dragon Warhammers are super rare to get. Drop rate 1,000, 1 in 5,000 versus 1 in 508. I feel this is very unfair to the updates to people who obtained the Dragon Warhammer through so much hard work just to be crushed by this single update. And then people have posted on the thread mentioning that they're not the exact same. And so he made another edit saying, another thing I realized is that the BGS would most likely surpass the AGS as being the preferable PKing God Sword. BGS's special attack has a 21% buff and reduces all combat stats of what you hit, whereas the AGS special has a 37.5% damage buff, but is harder to obtain than the BGS. This could also have a dramatic effect on the AGS. Any thoughts? Now, I don't have the AGS page up, so let me get that one up right now so we can talk about that one just a little bit, not too much. But first let's cover the Bandos God Sword versus the AGS spec. So if we look at their special attacks, the Bandos God Sword special attack, War Strike, doubles the accuracy and inflicts 21% more damage, draining all of the opponent's stats. Equivalent, though, to the amount of damage done, okay? And it wasn't 50% before, but now it is. So that's a key factor there. The key factor there is that it's dependent upon the amount of damage done that reduces the opponent's stats. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now we're gonna look at the Dragon Warhammer real quick. The special attack for the Dragon Warhammer has a special attack Smash, which deals 50% more damage while lowering the target's current defense level by 30% on a hit other than 0. The hit has to deal damage. Even if it is a successful hit but rolls a 0, it does not work. When used against Tecton, it will reduce 5% of his damage. If it fails to hit, this attack consumes 50% of the player's special attack. Okay, so this one just reduces its current defense level, but by 30%, and it doesn't matter what the damage is done. Now, how many times have you taken a God Sword, if you're PKing or Slayer, like a Saradomin God Sword or an AGS, BGS, or whatever, how many times have you spec'd with it and hit max or get close to max? Most of the time you're not getting that. So that's already it's kind of like the bottleneck for the Bandos God Sword's value to go up any higher than the Armadyl God Sword. Now, let's look at the Armadyl God Sword spec. Like all God Swords, the Armadyl God Sword has a special attack, the Judgment. In addition to double accuracy, okay, so let's look at the Bandos God Sword real quick. Doubled accuracy, okay, so the Bandos God Sword and the Armadyl match that. They both double their accuracy, and the AGS inflicts damage with a 37.5% or 125% multiplied by the hidden 110% every God Sword special possesses. Okay, so it inflicts damage with 37.5% higher maximum hit than a normal attack, consuming 50% of the player's special attack energy. So this one doesn't reduce any damage, doesn't reduce any of their stats whatsoever. The AGS is purely a KO weapon. Its main purpose is just to kill your target. And for PKing, that's what you want. See, in PvP scenarios, the Armadyl God Sword is the most commonly used as a knockout weapon because of its massive damage increase. I mean, look at this. If we look at the Bandos God Sword, it only goes up by 21% more damage as opposed to 37.5. And that, so the AGS is almost double the BGS's damage buff. So, I mean, when you guys see people talk like this, talk about the market, about any item whatsoever, kind of like warning you on what to do, don't ignore them. The key thing to being a merchant and a flipper in this game is to have your ears open at all times, you know, be involved in conversations, hear what other players have to say, because if you see something like this, more often than not, you're going to have a conversation, you're going to see other players talk, and you're going to find another answer, other opinions with it. But also, more importantly, by keeping your ears open, you kind of get like little bits of information that you would have never thought about before. So one user was talking about how the BGS spec buff might have an impact on the Zamorak Godsword buff, or not buff, its value, because if the BGS is 50% and there's a clan PKing, another player could bring a ZGS and spec, but you know, I kind of thought about that over a little bit, and I thought, well, you know, they'd probably just use the Ice Barrage and then switch to a BGS anyways. They wouldn't be using both God Swords. And as it turned out, the ZGS hasn't really changed that much with the update. So, looking at the specs and everything about the Boundless God Sword, it's really an inferior weapon out of almost all of them besides the ZGS. The ZGS is pretty good for a couple bosses like Saradomin, Mutadile for raids, or PKing if you're a PKer. But other than that, the Dragon Warhammer is still the far more superior item everywhere. The only place you would actually use the Bandos God Sword alongside the Dragon Warhammer is Corp. With Corporal Beast, you're going to want to use both the BGS and the Dragon Warhammer there, as well as Arclight, because if you've ever been to Corp, you know that it deals really high damage. And so if you're going to BGS spec it, you're going to reduce the damage that it hits you, and if you're using the Arclight, it does the same thing. So you're reducing the amount of damage it can inflict upon you, which makes killing it easier. And then if you Dragon Warhammer spec it, you reduce its damage. So you make the boss killing easier in a sense. And you're going to want to use the Dragon Warhammer spec for the Bandos God Sword to reduce its damage so you can hit higher with the BGS. So what else was I going to talk about today? So we talked about not being a follower, but keeping your ears open. What else? Okay, so I guess one last thing I should mention is when an update comes like this, make sure to keep yourself informed. Meaning, read up on the items that may be impacted. So the items in this one were the AGS, Bandos God Sword, and Dragon Warhammer. Those were the three items that people were concerned about. Now, if you think about the Bandos God Sword as a PKing item, I mean, sure, you could use it as a PKing item because it reduces their stats, quote unquote, but how many PKers go into Bounty Hunter and use a Prayer Pot as opposed to a Saradomin Brew with a Super Restore? They're probably going to bring both the Super Restore and the Saradomin Brew alongside just regular like food. So the BGS spec reducing their stats is irrelevant. It doesn't do anything because they're just going to drink their Restore anyways when their prayer goes down a little bit. So in regards to that, you're going to want to go for the KO instead. But yeah, guys, make sure that when updates come around, because the Dragon Slayer 2 update is coming around pretty soon, and there's a few items that may be targeted, and I don't want you guys to lose money, and I also don't want to kind of like suggest which items to focus on, which is why I do these videos after the update has come around. I don't like to do this prior because, I mean, I want to have zero influence on what you guys do in terms of your investments, but I want to help you guys get there. I want to help you guys understand my thought process and how I might do this from your position. So yeah, if this is a pretty short video, but it was also kind of like a maybe like a little bit of a rant, I guess, but it's kind of also a market discussion that I think is going to be really important for you guys to kind of grasp how we kind of read into this kind of stuff. Always think about stuff. Never take things at face value. Always make sure to read into it. Do your research. Always do your research, guys. It's going to help you in the long run. Because with Dragon Slayer 2 coming out, people may make the same mistakes that they made with this update. So I don't want to say too much about Dragon Slayer 2. Because again, I don't want to influence you guys' opinions. But if you guys need assistance on what to do, you guys can always review back to my old guides that I've made on game updates. I made a video specifically called Game Updates. It's probably one of the best videos you guys can watch in regards to this kind of stuff, because I go in depth in quite a bit of changes into the game that have affected items. So yeah, make sure you guys do your research. Don't be followers, be leaders. Keep your ears open. Be involved in the conversation. And if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Good luck merching, guys, and until next time.